Alright, so I got another video for you guys. This is more like an information type of video. So if you follow me on Instagram, I posted this Can-Am on one of my stories because it took me a bit to get it running. It's a friend's Can-Am. He bought it used maybe like 3 weeks ago. After the first week he got it, first or second week, he went camping and it broke down. So what happened was, it has an aftermarket clutch kit, and for some reason one of the weights got stuck and the primary got stuck open, and it pretty much locked the back wheels. So they were out camping, and while they were in the trails, this is what happened. So to get it back to camp, they kind of had to pull it. But when they went to pull it, since the tires were locked or engaged, it was hard to pull and it was dragging the rear tires. Eventually, he said they heard a pop and that the tires released. So then they were able to pull it. He gets it home, they get it on a trailer, get it back home. He calls me, tells me what happened. So he lives nearby. I go take a look, and he told me they were able to release the clutch, but when I get there, it wasn't released. I was able to see that the primary was open and one of these weights was stuck open. I get a hammer and a little chisel, hit the weight back in, and then the whole primary closes. But that wasn't the issue. That was what caused everything. So then his concern is, ever since he heard the pop, it won't start. They go to start the X3. I was there when I checked it out, and he tries to start it, and all you hear is a click from the solenoid, which if you ever had a bad battery, you've heard it before, and it clicks right there. It's like a starter solenoid. So I tell him, let's charge your battery or get a new one. I kind of try to push him to get a bigger battery, but he wanted to get it fixed right away. So he settles for a battery from O'Reilly's, which they won't return once you add the acid. So we put the new battery, does the same thing. So now I'm thinking maybe it's the solenoid, and I mess with it, I check it out, and it's giving me good readings. So then we move on, and I check the starter. So let me see if I can show you guys where the starter is. I check the starter, I try and run it. Where is it? There it is. I try and get it to run manually, and it wouldn't do anything. I take it off and I test it, and it's not working. So we got the old starter here. So somehow the starter was engaged. I'm not like a mechanic, I don't know how that runs, how that works. Since the primary was stuck, the starter was engaged. Took me a while to figure it out. Finally got it, removed it, tested it, doesn't work. Luckily, one of the dealers had one in stock, and they run about $400 with tax. Brand new starter. So this is where we're at. What I'm gonna be doing today is just installing a battery post relocation. If it ever dies, it's just easier to charge your battery, especially when you run a bench seat. So I got the holes already here. Usually they're pretty marked, and if you go off of these little circles, you can just drill in the middle here and in the middle of this side, and you'll be right on with the battery post. But I got those in. I'm gonna run the wire to the battery. I honestly don't know who did this. I guess that's a metal bracket they fabricated, threw a fuse on top, and then they got all these wires. I'm not a fan of it, and I'm just gonna do what he asked me to do. So got the hose right here. I'll clean this up for him, and my battery wires I'll run to that little tunnel back there. Pretty easy, but I'll show you guys when I'm done. It's pretty simple. The main thing was to give you guys a heads up if you ever are out running or riding and for some reason your clutches get stuck open, whether it's your primary or your secondary. It could happen. Here's the marks. I guess they called someone and they told them that maybe there was too much dust in there and to tap it and see if it would release. They don't know a whole lot about Can-Ams. They would have saw the primary straight open, and the way it was visible, you could see it right away if you kind of knew about these machines. After I closed it, I went out on a test drive. It was good up until this primary would open all the way. It wouldn't close anymore. The weight would get stuck. So he got that looked at. He put some new weights on it. And so yeah, never pull your X3 or pretty much anything with a clutch and a belt. Never pull it if your tires are locked. So future reference, if that ever happens to you guys, either remove the belt or just cut it off. It'll be a lot more cheaper to buy a belt than to get a new starter. The other thing is, the easiest one to remove is your secondary. All you need is that bolt. Once you take it off, it comes off. So worst case scenario, you don't want to cut your belt and you have some tools and you have the socket for your secondary, just remove the secondary, get your belt off, and it should free up your wheels. I would have never guessed it. Luckily he let me get it fixed for him, or attempt to fix it, and I was successful. It just blew my mind that the starter was gonna be the thing that was wrong with it, but we'll get it up and running for him so I can give it back to him. So there's the starter. Here's the relocation post. These have gone down in price. There's different ones, different price ranges, so you be the judge. I bought it off of Amazon. It's a lot cheaper than when I got it, and it's just a basic battery post, similar to the one I have, but I paid more for mine. I think I'm running the Kemimoto one. This one was only, I want to say 55, 60. All it is this and a set of wires with a little bit of hardware. So yeah, I'll show you guys the finished result with the install. And we're all done. Gave it just a quick rinse. It's pretty dirty. Looks a lot better now. Here's the end result. So when installing these, just make sure you go around the same position I did. This section where I place it on, it's a double plastic, so there's two plastics that overlap, so that's like the best way to mount it over those two. It's more stability for it. It doesn't weigh a whole lot, but just my opinion. Got it all cleaned up. I'll mention to him about the wiring stuff. I'm not a big fan of it. Could use some work. So I'll suggest it to him, and if he needs it fixed, I can fix it, or he can find someone else. We installed a new battery on his. I'm not sure if I mentioned it, but can't really get back there. So let's get it started. Not a big fan of these geyser doors, mainly because of the hardware. I don't like how these bolts stick out. They're replaceable, it's easy fix. And this damn car has ripped 2 of my pants already. Not necessarily the front doors, but the rears. I believe it's the rear. No, it's not the rear. So, same thing over here. I don't like how that sticks out. That door. Oh, it must have been that door. That door ripped 2 of my pants. If you can see those bolts, they stick out really far. So, if this was my ride, I would have replaced them. Look at that. I'll cut them off or replace them. These 2, maybe this one, but for sure these 2. This one's the one that ripped 2 of my pants. I'm not sure why they put that hardware there.